So tell me, how were you introduced to Super Mario? The most legendary video game character to ever exist. He's a global icon. Your whole family has likely played one of his games. Oddly enough, for me, I first found this overly cheerful plumber from a game that was released well before my time. Super Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Although I was absolutely abysmal at these games, this was an appropriate introduction to the man in question. It included his debut title. Then, many years later, I would end up playing through quite a few of Mario's adventures. So many, in fact, that they began to really entice me as a gamer. I know most people see them as for the casual audience, but in terms of a series that'll never disappoint, Mario's got you covered. I always hear this question get thrown around online, so it's only appropriate to ask it here. When was the last time Nintendo created a bad Mario game? I'm talking about mainline series here, not including any spin-offs. These games release with a scary amount of polish and consistency. It makes me wonder how Nintendo keeps reinventing the wheel with this guy. In September of 2020, I was lucky enough to pick up this gem of a collection. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. 3 of the plumber's most iconic adventures, upscaled and optimized for play on the go with Nintendo's most ambitious console yet. Just like the All-Stars that came before, I have no doubt in my mind that this game brought about a wave of new young Mario fans. But how strong is this collection really? Was it worth the release? Or should they have all died along with the consoles they were bundled with? And is there anything possibly, missing from this collection? Well, we're about to find out. It's time to rewind the tick-tocking clocks and ride the rainbow back to '96. Super Mario 64? Let's talk about it! The original Super Mario Bros. Is well known for laying the foundation of the 2D platformer back in '85. The regular and Super NES libraries were flooded with them, all of which drew inspiration from this one title. That alone speaks volumes to how influential it really was. It was genre-defining, and its base design philosophy can still be seen in modern-day gaming. However, its translation to 3D wasn't going to suffice. To accommodate for this upgraded space, Super Mario 64 goes for a different approach in its game design. Here is a giant level to explore full of goodies and collectibles. Now go play! This would mark the birth of the 3D Collectathon, a genre that would go on to be highly divisive over the forthcoming years. But even with this new groundwork laid out, elements of the 2D platformer seep through the fundamental cogs of this creation. Most importantly, the jump button remains intact. Marvelous! We haven't overcomplicated things just yet. However, that does not mean that jumping has remained as simple as it used to be. Mario brings with him a slew of new movement options to the third dimension, all of which have varied usage throughout the game. You have single, double, and triple jump, which gives a significant increase in height as a reward for proper timing. Back and side flips with proper spacing can get you up to exactly where you need to go. And the long jump, the ultimate tool for blasting your way through any level and letting Koopa the Quick eat your dust! These abilities not only enhance Mario's movement capabilities, but also the freedom on the designer's part. Think about it, if Mario retained his singular jump height from Mario Bros., how would you create interesting and creative environments? Platforms and ledges wouldn't be able to exceed a certain height and would have severely restricted the stages as a result. Instead, we have vast open areas perfectly suitable for Mario's array of jumps. Bottomless pits that are generously scaled down for the players to cross, and wide rotating objects so that Mario doesn't just waddle off accidentally. The game was meticulously designed with the player in mind, specifically those playing a 3D game for the first time. Which, may I remind you, was everyone at the time. Games were experimental and afraid of the introduction of the Z-axis, so to compensate, 64 made a lot of its platforming sections extremely lenient in terms of difficulty. These jumps are absolutely not hard, but they aren't supposed to be. The same design concept is applied to the camera. Seems the Lakitus have given up their spiny-thrung days, instead becoming movie directors who want Mario as their main man. Wait, then who the hell is that? The perspective you play the game from is attached to this character. The camera moves where Lakitu can move, which is a very simple idea to understand. Why can't I rotate the camera through this wall? Because Lakitu can't move through walls. Why can't I snap the camera instantly behind me? Because Lakitu can't move at the speed of sound. Why is this camera absolutely terrible? Well, because, I don't know, it's Lakitu's first day on the job? As we all know, Super Mario 64's camera would infamously go down as one of the most awkward features of the entire franchise. To be totally fair here, it was the first of its kind, and scripted forced camera angles would have ruined the immersion in these expansive worlds. Despite all the criticism it gets, I didn't find it to be too big of a deal when playing through the game myself. Did it get stuck in unfair positions? Oh, absolutely. I definitely accumulated some cheap debts because of it. But for its time, it was a great idea that Nintendo would go on to master as early as their next game, which may or may not have led to firing a certain movie director. Sorry, Lakitu. How about those levels, huh? I briefly mentioned them, but in essence, each course is a giant explorable sandbox with gimmicks and gameplay mechanics strewn about. You have solid platforming, unique enemy design, and ever-changing landscapes. The opening level, Bob-omb Battlefield, is tailor-made for you to test out your new 3D abilities. Enemies are scarce, and there are 0 bottomless pits to worry about. Just you, your controller, and Mario. This is built upon all the way through until the final 2 levels, Tick-Tock Clock and Rainbow Ride, where your skills will be put to the test. It's a very poetic end to the journey. You have this wacky 3D clock tower to scale that puts all of Mario's new abilities to great use, whereas Rainbow Ride is more reminiscent of his 2D adventures. The camera aligns perfectly along the side, giving a clear view of obstacles ahead, showing what the game could have been if it stayed true to the original formula. A lot of people complain about these last levels, but I found them to be some of the best in the game. Well, when you're not waiting for the magic carpet to hurry up, that is. There is a few stages in between that are absolutely outstanding for one reason: non-linear design. Some stars can be found just hanging out in the open, regardless of which mission you select for the level. In some cases, you can start with star 3, then do star 5, then 1, 4, 2, and finally 6 if you really wanted to. Guess what? I did do this! In Lethal Lava Land, I collected star 3, then 5, then 1, 4, 2, and finally 6. I love when games do this. I mean, this level is brilliant in its own right. The floor is lava is such an awesome stage design, especially for kids who would play this game in the real world, or adults. It's a dangerous landscape, but bridges and platforms are plentiful. But once you master Mario's movement, you can use the burning of his ass to your advantage. Moving across the stage in a matter of seconds, it's a genius progression of player skill in proportion to excellent level design. Cocoa Mountain and Womp's Fortress also express some bit of sequence breaking, but still features some linear star progression. The tower won't appear until the second mission, and the penguin won't race you until you've gone through the slide once. Still, just knowing I can blast away the wall, or that wall kicks will indeed work at any point, is intensely satisfying. Controlling Mario feels great for the most part. Although occasionally clunky, there was never a moment I accidentally flung myself off the edge because I had no control over my character. Incorporating specifically spaced wall jumps after a precisely timed long jump is more skillful than it looks. Overall, the control for this game holds up surprisingly well for an N64 title. Although let me just say, it does feel a little awkward at the start, and I was using a GameCube controller, I wasn't playing on an N64. But if you compare my starting gameplay to the end, you can see I had adjusted to the fluid controls in just one playthrough. So, safe to say I'm in love with Super Mario 64, right? No, but you still wouldn't be invited to the wedding. Alright, let's get the controversies out of the way. The music is quite repetitive. I didn't say it was bad, I said it was repetitive. There are some songs here that absolutely go hard. The power-up and main menu theme in particular are awesome pieces. But do you know why they stand out? Because they don't overstay their welcome. Majority of the songs in the game are not stage exclusive. You will hear the same track dozens of times throughout the game because themes are shared within courses. Grassy terrain stages play the Super Mario 64 main theme. That's 4 stages! Dire Dire Docks, or Water, plays in 3 stages. It's a great song, but it starts to lose its charm when you keep hearing the first minute or two of the song for the 15th time this play session. Oh, but these 2 examples pale in comparison to the nightmare that is the cave dungeon theme. Oh god! This song is a cover of the Mario Bros. Underground theme, which is already kind of competitive in the fact it's a variation of a pre-existing melody, but that's just me nitpicking. What's not me nitpicking is the abuseful amount of times this song is used. It serves as the main theme of Hazy Maze Cave and Wet Dry World. It also plays in the Metal Cap stage, inside the pyramid, inside the igloo, and finally Wiggler's Lair. I hope you like that boring, eerie melody because it's in 6 separate locations, which you'll more than likely be visiting many, many times. Let me ask again, how about those levels, huh? Let me tell you, some of them rock, and a few of them should be buried beneath said rock. Say it with me now. Big Boo's Haunt, Wet Dry World, terrible stage! Big Boo's Haunt is the first course I genuinely moan about when I'm playing through the game. It's not set in a painting. Instead, Mario jumps into this little model of the stage that a Boo in the courtyard holds onto. And you know, that's unique, that's interesting, but it's by far the most annoying stage to enter in the game! You have to defeat the Boo every time to enter the level, and watch this little animation of Mario diving in. Why? I just don't get it. Why couldn't the Boo just stay dead after the first encounter? Oh, cause ghosts can't die. Funny, Nintendo. You're ruining my Mario game! Apart from that nightmare-fueling piano, the rest of the stage is just so against what the game stands for. Majority of your time is spent inside the mansion, which is cramped, gives no breathing room, and doesn't let Mario flourish his full set of movement options. The votes are in. This level gets a boo from me. Wet Dry World's gimmick just never interested me. Swimming in most games is a chore, but now you want me to strategically set a water height to swim at? Yeah, no, I don't dig that at all. Home to also the worst enemy in the game. These swinger chuckers will fling you onto the next higher up ledge, only to screw you over on the next throw. Again, this scaling section does nothing for Mario's movement. Why not make it more in line with the kit that the protagonist has been given? The only saving grace this stage has is its abandoned town. It's got a mysterious aura about it, making the stage 20 times more intriguing as a result. A lot of other stages clash like this, but have 1 or 2 things going for them, giving them a pass in comparison. If Hazy Maze Cave didn't teach me about building speed for half a day and parallel universes, I'd probably hate the stage more than I do. I mean, I do. It hosts awful areas, music, and bland design choices, but you know, memes and stuff. JRB and DDD have maybe 1 or 2 good stars each, but that's pretty much it. I do appreciate the fact that a lot of their stars involve swimming to some degree, but unfortunately, swimming just flat out sucks in this game. The idea of 100 coin stars is actually a really interesting concept. Collect 100 coins in any of the main stages and you get a star. It spawns right on top of you, and you don't get booted from the level when you collect it. Nice! These little bonus stars are really fun to go after, right? Wrong! If coins were obstructing every path I ventured down, these stars would be exciting to obtain. The problem is, coin counts per level are extremely low. But how low we talking here? Jolly Roger Bay has 104 coins total. There is a timed blue coin switch here, and each blue coin is worth 5 regulars. If you miss 1 blue coin, tough luck. You just missed the star by 1 coin and you can never obtain it unless you reset the level. Dire Dire Docks has 106. Again, blue coin switch. It's so monotonous. Do I really feel like I earn a star for just collecting a bunch of money? How does this show I'm skillful? Not to mention, if you die, well, I hope you have some patience lying around somewhere, because now you get to go on your boring coin hunt again. Let's just say there's a reason they never brought back these kind of stars. Of course, it would be a disservice to this game if I didn't at least mention its speedrunning community, as I feel that's another reason as to why the game is so enjoyable to me. The fact there are still people out there, to this day, trying to smash records on a 25-plus-year-old game speaks volumes about its longevity. Seeing the spectacle of sequence breaks and unique strategies in each of the game's categories really does add to my enjoyment of this game. This obviously raises the counter-argument that if a community makes you love a game under their rules and conditions, then that shouldn't add to an analysis of a game, as it's not what the developers intended. And to that I say, I bought this game so I could play it the way I wanted. Boom. I fulfill what the devs wanted, for me to purchase their work. They shouldn't care whether I'm skipping their carefully crafted worlds or beating the game well under the required star count. I paid €60 the same way the completionist behind me paid €60. If watching famous runners break their PB and world record contributes to me enjoying and playing a game more, then it contributes to me enjoying and playing the game more. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll just gain infinite speed by long jumping backwards up a flight of stairs. Thank you. Talk about building tension. These Bowser levels are easily one of the highlights of the game. They are tough. They put Mario to the test. But most of all, they put you, the player, to the test. To display your skill from all the practice you've put into learning this character's movement, figuring out the subtle technicalities and applying them where practical. Bowser in the Dark World is the first major obstacle presented to the player. One difficult linear path. Clear it if you can. The red coins here are a blast. Enemy placement is a lot tighter and scarier, but the challenge is presented perfectly. There are tons of moving platforms with massive bottomless pits, but this is Super Mario we're talking about. Quick long jump here, a side flip there will easily get you through the stage. Bowser in the Fire Sea follows the same principles, though it's a shame it doesn't follow in the footsteps of Lethal Lava Land. Here, the magma is purely an obstacle, and can't really be used to get through the stage faster as part of a risk/reward scheme. Still, it follows along the smooth difficulty curve set out by the first half of the game. Once you beat this challenging level, the whole castle opens up to you, and flourishes its beauty as a video game. There are secret stars hidden all around Peach's castle, which end up becoming some of the best moments the game has to offer. Whether you're sliding down a secret slide or draining the moat for the Vanish Cap, Mario's hard work is always rewarded appropriately. And ditching the power-up system for the cap boxes is such a natural fit for 3D. I never even thought twice about how brilliant the Vanish and the Wing Cap were. They just clicked so well with the plumber's arsenal of jumps. Though my favorite has to be the Metal Cap. You would think that being transformed into solid metal would slow you down or bring you to somewhat of a downside, but there's absolutely none. I love it! Mario is just as fast, but now is invincible and can walk underwater. The Metal Cap theme is so freaking perfect too! Before we close this adventure, let me tell you that I am definitely no completionist. If I enjoy a game so much that I desire to fully complete it 100%, I will do so. If I don't, I won't. But luckily Super Mario 64 accommodates both playstyles. Out of the 120 Power Stars, only 70 are needed to see the credits. That's only about 60% required, which is definitely a welcome leniency. Remember, this was a lot of people's first 3D game, so having such a low threshold of completion is much appreciated here. I only ended up collecting the minimum 70, but there were definitely 10 or 15 stars I wouldn't have minded grabbing instead. Through the collection of these Power Stars, Mario busts through the final door and ascends the infinite staircase, one way or the other, to finally face his nemesis in this stellar climax. Let's go. Bowser in the Sky serves as a stunningly perfect level to end this journey on. The whole stage is accumulated of wacky geometry, bizarre platforming, and ruthless enemy placement. This is easily the most satisfying level in the game. Every jump is precisely spaced and set up to present a fiercely enjoyable challenge. The skybox is gorgeous, and hearing our protagonist grunt and yippee his way up to the top is encapsulating. As Mario climbs and climbs, the day of salvation draws nearer and nearer. The narrative is so heavily thrust onto the player through gameplay, it's purely astounding. I knew while soaring through this level that Peach was destined to be saved, and I, the player, was about to make that possible. Let's-a go! The big bad makes his presence known. The music, the background, everything! There is nothing that can stop this heated battle from resolving one way or the other. This is the final battle. This is what our whole adventure has been leading up to. Once we get a hold of him, we've got to chuck old King Koops here into the bombs and...
So long, Bowser. So long, Bowser.
God damn. Almost have him. Almost. I'll try again. Uh-huh. Next throw. Next throw. I got it next throw.
Bowser.
Come on. That should have hit. You know, do you ever just step back and appreciate how jacked Mario must be to lift this massive spiky shell turtle by his tail? Aha! We did it! Just as planned! Mario 64 is a simple game, especially when placed under a modern lens. It's outdated in many ways, and all of its concepts and ideas would go on to be refined and innovated in further titles. Despite all of this, it just goes to show how well it is aged. Because even in 2021, Mario 64 is a fantastic video game. Its gameplay is solid, its mechanics are sound, and is overall an absolutely incredible gaming experience. It still has its fair share of problems, but given its time of release, this is well worth the sacrifice. Its level variety is great, and some sections give a genuine challenge to the player. Honestly, I was taken aback at just how much fun I was having playing this 25-year-old relic. Breezing through these massive worlds, collecting those precious power stars, I felt honored to get to experience these stories alongside the Super Mario. A terrific adventure, but also a magnificent display of just what 3D gaming was capable of. And for this cheery Italian plumber,
Here we go!
This was just the beginning.
Thank you so much for playing my game.